Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Guys, old school in the house. You guys remember Sledgehammer? There was a song, Sledgehammer. Do you remember that? Stay tuned. All right, guys, so coffee sponsor of today is Joe, Carly, and Nelson. Joe, Carly, and Nelson writes, "Hi, we love your videos and thank you for the content. Do you have any recommendations for a 100 square inch racket for a recreational women player that is all around forgiving but also has good feel? We're looking at the Pro Staff version 14 coming out soon as an option and wondering about others. Thank you very much from Tennessee." Okay, so here's the thing. There is a Pro Staff version 14 coming out in a 100. From what I read, it's going to be very similar. This is just what I read. And then, I'm kind of illiterate, so we'll see what happens about what I read. 100 square inch racket in a Pro Staff coming. It's kind of similar to a Blade 100 though. So, and I haven't played with that new Pro Staff yet. So I can't recommend something that I haven't played with. I mean, some of the other frames that are pretty forgiving, Clash 100, Gen 2, Ultra 100 Lite, Pure Drive 100 in the team version. If you want more spin, probably the Pure Aero team. In the heads, probably the Extreme in the team version. So I think anything that says team or anything in that under 300 gram realm should work. I mean, the first thing when you said forgiving, I thought Clash 100. So definitely give that a try. If that's too heavy, you got Clash 100 Lite as an option too. Okay? Hope that helps, but just kind of stay under that 300 gram and I think you'll be fine. All right? Thank you for the coffee. If you want to be my coffee sponsor of the day, network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Thank you all for keeping the dark roast my habit going and keeping me going every morning. If you want to hook up the channel and support the channel and the content coming to you every day, super thanks is the way. Link is below. You can contribute as much or as little as you'd like. All right? Thank you all so much. Okay. Sledgehammer in the house. You guys remember this? You would have to definitely be a certain age to remember this. Why did Wilson come out with this? Power. Well, they were the #1 brand back then, like dominating #1 brand. We're talking 30 plus years ago. They were ruling tennis with the hammer technology, hammer system in all of their rackets. They had Pro Staff Classic, killing it. And they're like, let's do a luxury model. Let's do more power. Let's have a wider sweet spot. Let's call it Sledgehammer. Hammer wasn't good enough. We're doing Sledgehammer. So as you can see, they called it the snowshoe-shaped racket. And why was it wider here? Wider sweet spot. This was when they made 95s. They made mid pluses with power. Although this is only a 3.8, which is kind of not overly powerful in their stiffness index, the SI scale. And it's also a 95, which actually was made it more controllable. But it suited a lot of doubles players, weekend warrior doubles players, if you know what I mean. This is, again, the 95. There was a 110 version also, which suited those weekend warriors even more. You didn't really have to swing very hard to get the power. Plus, you had a pretty big sweet spot because it was wider. It also has the fan pattern, right? The way it's strung like this, so that it widened out the string bed a little bit more for more spin. And it's still a hammer, so it's easy to play with. Now, I've never actually checked specs. I only sold it like 30 years ago when it was out. I was able to get one of these so that I could just test. And I mean, if you ever see one of these, they're probably like 10 bucks at the Goodwill. Maybe you'll need to string it, but this one's not in too bad of a condition. But let's take a look at the specs on this thing. After 30 years, I get to see specs. That thing is light. 262. Woo! All right, let's take a look at the balance. I'll bet it's high. Yep. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I've never had one this head heavy before. It's almost at the end of the board. 393. It's at the end of the board. We did put an overgrip on it because it was just gross underneath. Let's try swing weighting it. All right, let's check the sister sledge here. $348. Wow. Okay. Let's check it out. Okay, so really light racket. 262 with the strings and an overgrip. So that thing probably starts at in that 240 realm. That is super light. That's kids racket in today's specs. Wow, I can't believe how light that is. And look at how crazy that balance is. We're almost at 400. That is as head heavy of a racket as I've ever seen. And this is as light as I've ever seen. Swing weight, I'm surprised that it's even this high, but that just tells you how much they concentrated the weight at the top, causing that to happen. This is ridiculous. Given that's a low number, this number is definitely causing that number. So literally, there is no weight here and all the weight up here, like that. It's like basically like that. So there will be a lot to drag through. They don't expect you to swing very far with this racket then. Do you remember there was a chart back in the day for people who swung, like basically brought it, I'll do a forehand, brought it to here, right? They call it a short swing. A medium swing would start here, and a full swing would start here. This is definitely a short swing racket, because if you brought it back all the way, there would be a lot to drag through. If you had a medium swing, it probably would be okay, but this is definitely meant for those bunters. Like you go here and then you push the ball back, because the weight will definitely throw the ball back over the net with ease, since the weight is definitely concentrated up here. But I'm just surprised by these numbers. Let's go out on the court with Coach Rob and see for ourselves how crazy it is. All right, so we got Coach Rob, and I just tried out that Sledgehammer 3.5. 3.8, sorry. 3.8.
Sorry.
Mid plus 95.
Yeah.
Does that bring back memories?
20 years ago?
20 plus years
25?
ago now.
Right.
Oh my God. Coach?
Yeah, it was fun to hit with something that old again. You know, if you're stuck in the snow and you need a snowshoe and you can't find one and you've got one of these laying around, it might work.
Definitely.
You know, with that shape.
Definitely get traction.
Right. And I think, if I remember right, Wilson made it wider at the top because their research showed more people hit the ball higher in the frame, so they wanted to make a bigger sweet spot up there. Mm-hmm. That's tested my memory from years ago.
That is correct. And then they called it Sledgehammer because they've already used hammer.
Correct.
And this is supposedly the next level of hammer.
Right.
Therefore, sledge it. And they call it a hammer still. Sledgehammer.
Yes. So it was fun to hit with that again. You know, you got to watch the ball and find the middle of the racket, and yeah, it had nice weight and balance through it, but there again, it's old, so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they don't make rackets like this anymore, obviously. That's 95. They still do make this shape, but the balance of rackets like this aren't like this anymore. They're more head lighter. They're not weighted all at the top.
Right.
This was technologically advanced 25 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I remember this thing was what, 250?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sold more than 95. There was a 110 bigger brother too.
Right.
That the older crowd, let's say it that way, tend to gravitate more towards.
Right. Because I think the 3.8 stiffness was, you know,
wasn't too stiff.
But for back in that day, yeah, it kind of helped you out. And if the profile wasn't working for you or whatever, and you were going.
Yeah. Yeah, this was next level. After profile, we had hammers, and then this was like the next level hammer.
Right.
Check this out. If you look at let's say the profile of it, you see how it's thick, like right here?
Yeah.
Like this part?
Right.
And it starts to kind of taper off here.
Yep.
So that's, I think, where the 3.5 is coming, 3.8 is coming from because of this taper. Because if it strikes here, this part firms it up, this part flexes, and then this part flexes. So you do get a nice kind of a flex in this kind of a stiffer racket.
Right.
But, I mean, it's good to try. It's hard to get used to something that's this powerful again, and this head heavy.
Yep.
I guess I'm not used to something this head. Even though I add a ton of lead to my racket, this thing is like, I mean, like.
Right. Yep.
Look. Okay. And I usually don't like this test, and this is what's happening. And there was also one more thing about the sledgehammer technology. Hence the fan pattern.
Right.
So like this, so that it's spread it out the strings a little more. for power and spin.
Right.
So,
Cool.
yeah, I'm glad we got to try it. Coach Rob, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it's fun trying
retesting these.
Live in the old days. The sledgehammer lives.
Lives with us, lives in our hearts, lives in our dreams. They ain't never gonna make it again though. Coach Rob, thank you.
Sure.
Guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Is this on?
Harry, what are we doing here?
Oh, hey bud. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm just setting up my swing vision over here so that during our hitting session, we can, see how bad I'm doing today.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
But you won't be doing bad, Harry.
No.
You'll be moving your feet, watching the ball.
This is why I love you, buddy.